Welcome everyone to Tuesday night show and share program. As always, we gather here to show off our projects, whether they worked quite well or they failed immensely or somewhere in between. But let's get it started with Margaret because she's on time. But I don't think she's on time in the classroom. I think she's still outside. That's okay. Yeah, she's coming. Yes. Maybe she was wanting to do just that quick little second. One last little tweak on her project. All right, in the meantime, we've got more people coming in and filling up the room. And the presenter is coming. Yay! No, you're not a slacker. You just ignored all your timepieces, right?
Thank you, sir.
The only presenter that comes with an entourage.
That's right. All right, so, hey. I'm just going to show my clocks today. They're made out of all different kinds of wood, and I'm making them for family members. So, anybody can make one of these. This is really easy, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to show it. Like, they turn out really pretty. It's just some sanding and cutting and making a hole in there. So, anyway, probably most of y'all already saw this outside, but this is, I don't know if I can show it on here. On the arm. Okay, that kind of shows. So this is probably the biggest one. So I believe this is oak and just had a lot of cool things about the wood that were really, I thought, quite pretty. So I decided to make a clock out of it.
You got it set and fitted lining time.
What?
Did you have it set and fitted lining time?
Yeah, I don't have them quite set yet. And then this one I made out of cedar and just a little cedar round I had. So this is another one that I made out of oak. And it's kind of similar. So, and like I said, I just cut them, did them on the router a little bit if I needed to, sanded them down and put some Odie's oil on them. And then I used a Forstner bit to make the hole for the clock face. And then I've got several more that I'm working on because like I said, I'm making these for, this one's about done, but it's made out of curly maple. And then this one I'm also still working on, and it's made out of whinge.
Made out of what?
Whinge wood. Oh, sorry. Sorry, whinge wood. And then I wrote a little poem on the back and put those on there with the laser cutter. So that's pretty much it. Questions?
I have a question about the clocks.
Yes.
Do you get a set of them or?
Yes, I just ordered them from Amazon. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How do you adjust
The
the time?
time? These will pop out, and then there's a battery in the back, and then you can set it and then put it back in.
What are you cutting the holes with?
I did all of these with a Forstner bit. I bought a 3-inch Forstner bit. So I have one that I'm still trying to work on that's bigger, so I have it. And I think I'm going to use a router to do it, but it's been a little bit more difficult.
There's a way to do that with a router, starting with a 3-inch Forstner bit that makes it fairly easy.
Okay. I might need some suggestions on that. So I am working on, there's a couple more that I'm working on as well. So I have a big family. I think it's 3.5 inches. Oh, there is? Okay, really? Okay, good. I will check that out. I didn't see those. Okay, so you think there's a 3.5? Okay, I'll check. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am?
Where have you been getting your wood?
Well, I've really gotten them all different places. This one came out of a friend's yard. This oak I bought in North Carolina at a wood shop where they just had some scrap wood that was really cheap. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I'll make something out of it. And this maple I've had for a while, and I've made a bunch of different projects. Like you might have seen the blocks I made for my grandbaby. Those were also made out of the same maple. I think I bought it at Jeffrey's 2 or 3 years ago. So just basically just stuff I had laying around. I didn't buy anything new to make any of these. So any other questions? How long did it take? Wait a minute.
How long did it take?
How much time did it take?
That's a good one. So none of them took very long, like maybe 2 to 3 hours each, I would say, or less. Yes, ma'am?
You said you wrote the poem. Did
Me
you
and a
write
friend.
it, or did you just put it on the back? Did you pen it yourself?
Yes. Yes. A friend of mine helped me because she's more eloquent than I am. But yes, so it was written by me and a friend. So yeah, it's kind of specifically for my mom. So my mom is passing. She's in the process of passing right now. So I thought, well, this would be a neat gift. And I put the poem on the back of all of them to give to all my siblings as a kind of memorial, memory, you know, so. Yes, so they come with a little rubber band thing that goes around them, but they don't fit in here very well with those. But I did put like I cut a little piece of the rubber band and glued it on just so that it has just enough to hold it in there and still be able to pull it out and change the battery and change the time and all that. So still working on getting all those together. So any other questions? All right. Thank you. Sorry. Got a lot of closet. No, sorry.
They are all beautiful,
Thank you so much.
and they each have their own personality.
Yeah, that's what I like about them. They're all unique. All right. I think that's all of them. Thank you.
Eric, will you come up and talk to us about your woodshed?
So, hello, Internet, and this is my biggest project to date. Let's focus. Focus. Okay, so woodshed, dimensions, 6 long, 6 plus roof tall, 3 foot wide, just enough room for plywood, because plywood doesn't do well in the rain. So I needed a place for my plywood. So this was a good shape for my plywood. And I also I was fascinated by trusses at the time, and I wanted to build my own trusses for my roof. So the roof trusses are completely overbuilt for this tiny little woodshed just because I wanted to build my own trusses out of 2x4s. So you can see the trusses there, which will carry a snow which we'll never get here, out of 2x4s. And that took the most time of anything on this project, was measuring and cutting and building, putting the trusses together. Let's see. A-frame, little roof, that big. Little overhang, got some air going through the trusses. Hand-built trusses. I'm real proud of the trusses. Found a window by the side of the road. Hey, that'll be perfect in my woodshed. I'll put that in my woodshed. So now I don't have to light it. It lights up itself during the day. So got some little doors there, and they open up. And what's on the bottom? Let's see what's on the bottom. Cinder blocks. Whoa, we're not focused now. Oh, now they are. So we start with cinder blocks to get it off the ground, and then treated 4x4s in 2 deep, and then we can start building with wood that's not treated because it's up off the ground. And then 2x4 framing and 6x1 sides, which are you can see how it's angled so the rain goes off and then down. Oh. So asphalt shingle roof with tar paper, all proper A-frame, tiny little roof, just a mini version of something else I might build bigger later. So questions? Yes, sir.
What is I don't understand trusses much, so does it make it that much stronger to have all those things doing that?
It looks crazy, but yes, triangle. I'm so glad you asked. Yes, this is what makes trusses fascinating. So the triangle is the strongest shape. So if you build a beam out of triangles correctly, it will be crazy strong for the weight, and that's why we use them in ceilings. These trusses are made out of steel. That truss is made out of 2x4, which has been chopped and screwed together. 2x4, 2x4, triangle, 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 triangle. Yes, sir.
How many trusses are
There are 2 that run the length of the ceiling, the roof, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. How long did it take? It took about a month, I guess, if I put everything. I had to collect the materials. What am I doing today? I'm building the foundation. I got to get 4 cinder blocks. Then I got to make them level, and then I think there's some gravel under there too. And then I got to go get my treated 4x4s and bolt them together, and then buy some 2x4s and then frame it and get my 1x6 sides, and et cetera. Let me see if I can get this one I fiddled with the brightness so you could see the trusses, which were so fascinating to me at the time. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Is that little shed just for storing plywood?
The continuing story, yes. At the time, it was just for my plywood, for building other projects, to keep the plywood safe. Later on, when I moved away from the property, it became a chicken coop to the new owner, which I think is adorable. Also, any other questions?
I think that's perfect to house chickens in that overbuilt trusses.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're perfectly safe. Yeah.
You wouldn't want that.
protect your chickens from skydivers who shoot sails?
Skydivers, or more recently, there was a hot air balloon that landed in somebody's backyard. Yeah, got to keep them cluckers safe. All right, next up is Aaron with a 3D printer filament organizer journey. What a mouthful.
So this is a kind of a couple years in the making process that I'm going through with my 3D printer stuff, and just I brought some pieces of it that I'll share as I talk about it a little bit more. and not, so anyway, just going back to the beginning, like, I've kind of been a little bit behind the curve with the connected 3D printer stuff and filament management systems and all of those things, because most of those out there now, like the newer printers, are like closed ecosystems. They're cloud-based systems, and I just wanted to stay in the open source realm and locally hosted things. And so I kind of like delayed starting down that road until recently, when I was looking for a better way to like organize my filament and maintain it, know what I've got, categorize the properties of the materials from different brands. Everyone's using like different spool sizes for like the diameters, and so it's kind of a mess. So I started with like laying out some goals on what I wanted to do, which was implement an organized system to manage and characterize my filament that's hardware agnostic, so I can use it with any printer, any manufacturer printer, any brand of filament, any type or size spool, as software agnostic as I could be, so that I wouldn't have to be locked into one particular ecosystem, and be able to use it across operating systems, so like Linux, Apple, Mac, all of those things, and of course open source as much as possible. So then one of the barriers to like starting that was just hardware costs to like implement that on the equipment I had. I kind of just like stayed away from it because I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on, you know, Raspberry Pis and things. So kind of that first step down that road, I found these calibration, I was printing calibration cubes just to characterize my filament, and I found these, it's an open SCAD configurable model where you can print these little filament cards that have detailed information about the filament, and you print it with the filament that you're using. So I have one example right here. Of course I picked black so you can't see it. But you know, it gives you a sample of like what they look like, see, feel it, touch it. And then that was kind of the first thing there. And then I found this really cool dry box storage system. Come on, let's focus. Yeah, it's figuring it out. So these are cereal boxes that are intended for like dry cereal storage. And somebody figured out this is the exact size of a 3D printer filament spool. And so I'm like, and so he's last year and a half or so been developing this and put it all up on printables. It has a rechargeable desiccant bin in there that you can see in the lid here. So that's 3D printed. You put some desiccant in there, and when the humidity goes up, you know it's time to recharge it, dry it out. It has a little humidity sensor on the front there. The spool has, you can just print right out of the container itself. You don't even have to take the filament out. And then the spool holder is a rewinder. So there's a little torsion spring in it, so that when you unload the filament, it rewinds back up onto the spool, so you don't get like a tangled mess. And then another thing I had to do with this, so if you buy like Prusament from like Prusa Research, they have a reusable spool that you can 3D print. but it only fits their stuff. If you try to use it on another like spool mounting system, it doesn't necessarily fit. And then also you can buy refills of the filament that don't have the plastic spool, but you have to have a special spool to accept that size filament. So I did a remix of the Prusament reusable spool, where I changed the spool diameter so it's smaller to accept refills of other brands. And then you can just print little adapters to adapt it to whatever size refill that you're using, whether it's Bamboo Lab or Overture or Prusament. And then I also adapted the inner diameter of their spool to be larger to accept other type of like spool holder systems. So it's a little bit more versatile, at least for my use. And keeping with like trying to make things as hardware agnostic as possible. So now the next phase of this was implementing Octoprint, which is an open source, locally hosted way to manage and control like a 3D printer. Octoprint only can run a single instance on a single device. So if you have multiple printers and you want to run an Octoprint for each printer, you need a computer or like a Raspberry Pi or something to power each one. However, I discovered, and that was one of the things that kept me from implementing Octoprint sooner, was because I didn't want to mess with that, having to have so many of those Raspberry Pis, which are pretty expensive now. But I came across this project called Octoprint Deploy, which is a open source project that you can run on a single Raspberry Pi as many printers as you want from any brand that you want. So you implement a Pi OS, which is a Linux operating system, and then that Octoprint Deploy will set up multiple instances at once, so you can run all of that from a single Raspberry Pi. So that makes things a lot more cost effective if you have a bunch of 3D printers you're trying to implement. And because it's all accessed over a web browser, you can use it on a Linux operating system, Windows operating system, Mac. You can use it on an Android device, and it works pretty well. So then part of that is setting up webcams, and that took a little while to figure out, because when you have multiple instances, you have to assign the devices to each of the instances, and it looks for serial numbers of all those different devices. Well, it turns out a lot of these webcams are all serial number 1, so there is no serial number. So that was a problem. So I found the cameras I'm using, they had a serial number firmware tool where you could flash to that webcam a unique serial number, and then problem was resolved. And then another thing I found on the iPhone operating system, there's an app called Octo app, which is it's a free app. It's not technically open source, but all it does is take all the information from Octoprint and, give you a more user-friendly GUI to view that information on like an iPhone. So here's like an example of it, showing like the G code analyzer, like mid-print. And then also what that allows me to do is get real-time notifications, like when a print is complete, or if there's a problem, I'll get a notification on my phone or my watch. And then, so that I've got that all up and running. I was looking at other physical storage systems for, like, if I make like 20 of these, where am I going to put them all? I found these low-cost, like modular storage, like from Walmart. It'll focus here. Those cubes are like 13 inches deep, 13 inches wide, 13 inches tall. Well, that's like a perfect fit for about 3 of these side by side, with plenty of shelf space there. And I actually bought 2 of those and stacked them, designed some brackets in FreeCAD to bolt them together so they, can't move relative to each other, and anchor to the wall so they have an anti-tip so you can't pull it down on top of yourself. And now where I'm at in this process is trying to implement a material database so I can keep track of like how much filament I'm using and what settings I need to run that's slicer independent. So I use Prusa slicer, but I also use Cura and other slicers for different reasons. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and so I want to be able to move from one to the other and still keep track of all of that material. And I came across this called Open Print Tag, which is a initiative started by Prusa Research, and the whole idea is to create a open source universal system for tracking like smart spools. So prior to this, most of the smart spool systems out there are very like ecosystem locked. They have their own proprietary thing. So it kind of makes it useless if you are using other brands of filament, or you're not using just their printer and slicer. And so this project is aimed at changing that so that it's more manufacturer independent. And then that will allow me to take these little NFC tags. There's not much to see here other than it's just a little white disc. These are relatively cheap. There we go. I mean, you can get like 100 of those for like $6. You can program them with a cell phone that has, most of the modern cell phones have NFC readers. It's the same technology used in like credit cards and stuff. And then you can also write to them. So if you're adopting that universal format for the filament, you can read and write that information onto the NFC tags for your particular setup. And then my eventual goal is to bind those to the filament tags so that the information stays with that filament, so I can manage it. So that's kind of where I'm at now, and I haven't implemented all of that yet. And there's a few different projects I've been looking at that are plugins to Octoprint for filament management, but I haven't really gotten too far down that road yet. Yes, question?
How reliable do you found the tags to be? I bought some and really this
What as far as like reading and writing the tags?
Yes, I would write them and read them on my cell phone.
Uh-huh.
Probably 50% of the cell phones did. Couldn't read what's going on. Couldn't read them and had like multiple tips.
Yeah, at least as far as the ones I've tested, I've only gone through maybe like 2 or 3 of them on a couple phones, and so far I haven't had any problems with it. The person that designed this system found some. I'm using the ones that he said were working well for him. So he put on the Printables site where he has like his system, he has like a link to what he used for his, and that's what I bought, and they seem to be working fine for me so far. All right, any other questions? Nope. Thank you.
I bet Amazon might have a huge influx of orders for cereal boxes.
It's funny you say that, because when I went to that page to look at those cereal boxes, and the recommended, it's like people who bought this also bought, And it was like all 3D printer stuff. And
3D printer stuff. That's great. Next up, we have Brian with a scooter paint and assembly project.
Yeah, so last year, my car was in the shop for like a couple of months over something that probably could have been fixed in about a week, but insurance, right? So I decided that I needed a second vehicle, and I went with a scooter, and I was going to try to get one on a marketplace, but I ended up just ordering one on Amazon. So I get it in about a week, and it's in a crate. So So, so the handlebars and the front tire I had to put on, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're just one person trying to put on a tire for like a 300 pound scooter, it's kind of tricky. So I had to pull off the front to get everything, to mount the handlebars, and so that's the finished product. And so anyway, later recently I discovered that color shifting paint, spray paint exists. So I had to apply that. So I masked off the parts that had like decals on it and stuff, and sanded it down, safety first. And so 3 coats of primer, and then a few coats of this color shift paint, and then some clear coat. It was like the primer and the paint was 20 minutes per coat, and then the clear coat was 5 minutes to dry for each coat. So altogether is about 4 hours, including all the waiting. Okay, so that's the finished product. That's all I got.
Did you use like anything special for the paint, or was it just?
It's just color shifting spray paint. I got it at Walmart.
So it was just out of the can?
What's that?
You just used the can?
Yeah.
Where's the picture of you riding doing the wheelie?
Yeah, I don't have a cameraman. It's just me, so I couldn't capture that.
Does that thing match what you got at your house?
It close. This is green and purple, and that's blue and purple. So it's kinda.
Never mind, you just asked mine.
I do like that metallic sparkly paint. Jessica, show us a butterfly.
Testing. Okay, I haven't been in front of a room like this in like 10 years, so, yeah, I didn't do that good the first time.
Never been in front of a room like this one, though.
So I thought this was part of the club initiation. I've never been here before, and, thank you. If you'll turn your attention to my TED Talk. I don't know if this is really gonna work because it's kind of tall. She's got a stand. Yeah, I'm just gonna set it here. All right, don't look at this. This is about how it used to go too. Okay, anyway, so I build like metal sculptures from old car parts because I've worked on cars for the last 10 years. This is my butterfly. I kind of have a butterfly thing. It's for my mom. She's been gone a long time now. But these are wings out of a chainsaw blade. This is an old spark plug. It's just a long bolt washer. And this is a saw blade as the base. I'm not sure how strong and stable my welds are, so we'll see. Also working on heat transfer as it does wobble a bit. Symmetry's a bit off, but hey, you know, there she is. So let me join your club. Thanks.
How long did it take?
Oh, probably like 2.5 hours. Yeah, this is my second project ever, so we'll get there. On this type of welding, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try. I mean, sure.
Zoom out.
If you guys sign a waiver. So, yeah. Thank you. You can hold it if you want to, but don't sue me.
We've all signed waivers.
That was so beautiful. Will you be out at the arts and crafts area maybe and have it there for people to look at? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you all for coming. And like always, we are an organization of volunteers. And one of our volunteers couldn't be here tonight. And that's the one that normally changes the air filters. And he's done such a great job doing that. So we're looking for somebody to help us change the air filters tonight. Thank you very much. And since we're saying thank yous, I want to also thank, oh, wait a minute, I need a prop. I also want to thank everyone who came and helped at the Dogwood Festival. John Dell normally does this, but was not able to make it. So Tracy, thank you for all of the coordination at the desk with those folks. And I know there was, Matt was there with some glass. He got just slammed with folks at one point when I saw that. Thea helping me. I know Joe was there and had volunteers helping him as well, Larry. And I've probably forgotten many others that were there and helped out, but I thank you. Thank you all. Next weekend, or this weekend coming up, we are going to have a booth at Festival. If you're not familiar with it, it's a little place just down the street here. And we've got some craft things going on. We'll have a booth, so stop by, or maybe come by and volunteer to help man the booth so the people there can maybe have a quick bathroom break. That would be great. We also want to talk about statehood. And Daryl, will you come up and talk to us about that? Another event, is that coming up this coming weekend or next?
Turn. This is just in case you want to catch a picture of details. So,
Use the mic.
is that better? So, you know, Sue has just talked about how we've had people at Dogwood Arts and how we're going to have people at Festival. If that's not enough, I've got another event that I'd love for you. Darn it. Okay, I hope you got the picture. So there's a place called Marble Springs, which is down south, kind of south of Maryville. It's a historic site centered on the life and kind of era of John Sevier, who, if you've lived here long, you've heard of Sevierville, and you see Sevier all over the place. He's an important dude. Statehood Day is coming up on May 30th, and I'm trying to drum up people to help with demonstrations. Bill Cressy and he's going to do a carving, and I'm going to do a blacksmithing demonstration. If you have if you enjoy this sort of thing, go on March 30th. You can go to marblesprings.net to find their info. If you have a skill that would be period appropriate, so maybe not 3D printing, but if you're or some sort of weaver, or something that would be a craft that someone might have done in the 18th to early 19th centuries, look me up, grab me after, and if you'd be interested in sharing that, collar me and let's talk about what that might look like, and or hit me on Mattermost. I'm Daryl.Houston. I'm the only Daryl, Daryl. I'd love to talk to you. Just no obligation. I'm not going to press you into anything you don't want to do, but I just thought I'd throw another kind of line out there and see if anybody was game to pitch in with this. And we will get a small donation out of it for Knox Makers, if any are willing. So thank you very much. Hit me with questions after, or if you have any right now, I can try. But no? All right. I eagerly await the influx of pings and messages that I'll get after this. So don't disappoint me.
Well, we have lots of opportunities to volunteer here, and yes, there's one more. We are going to be hosting something called Poster Jam. So if you are into artistry and would like to create brochures or posters that talk about us, mark May 15th, Friday night, on your calendars and come join us. That would be great. There may be more later on, but that's going to be the kickoff one. Then after show and share, there's going to be a pop-up help desk. So if you're having problems navigating, what is it called now? Knox Maker Chat. We're trying to get rid of Mattermost. Knox Maker Chat, as well as the my.knoxmakers.org. Stick around. In about 5 minutes after we complete the program, we'll be here to help answer your questions and guide you through that. As far as classes go, I looked. There's a couple of wood turning classes that are wide open. There's not a lot out there, but I think all of our czars and czarinis have been busy kind of doing festivals. So I expect in the next week there will be more classes on the calendar for you to check out and enjoy. So at this point, I don't have anything else for you. Let's go make, or come back and check out my.knoxmakers.org. Thank you.